In Conversation with Terry Shepard, award-winning broadcaster, narrator, and author. A deep dive into the writer's craft with the artists and support systems who create the stories we love.
Thanks, Lisa. Russell Nohelty and Monica Leonelle are disrupting our publishing paradigms and directly addressing the most important question on every author's mind. How do I sell more books? Russell Nohelty is a USA Today best-selling author, publisher, and speaker. He runs Wannabe Press, a small press that publishes what he describes as weird books for weird people. He also writes The Author Stack, a popular publication on Substack. His website is russellnohelty.com. His partner is Monica Leonelle, a USA Today best-selling author, MBA, and former software engineer turned executive marketing professional turned independent author. Her background offers a unique analyst perspective on trends in the publishing industry, which she shares through her work in her free newsletter, her books, and Writer MBA. Their latest project is Direct Sales Mastery for Authors, the definitive guide with a goal of teaching authors how to sell books directly to readers with crowdfunding, live events, websites, and subscriptions and memberships. Russell Nohelty joins us for a deep dive into the strategies and synergies authors can consider as they grow their business. Welcome to the conversation, Russell.
Thanks for having me. It's great to be here.
Take us through your journey from college student to publishing marketing guru.
When I graduated from college all the way back in 2004, I worked in news for about 6 months. I had a degree in broadcast journalism, and then I sort of went on my own. I wanted to make narrative films. I wanted to be like the next great indie director. And I even made a movie, made a web series, directed some stuff, like nothing really super took off. I moved to LA and just was not happening for me. This had been my like second or third company that failed. When one thing fails, it can be like a fluke. When two fails, it could be bad luck. Once you get to three, like something is wrong. And I figured the thing that was wrong with me is I did not know how to sell things. Now I can look back and be like, you knew how to make pretty good things, but like probably not good enough things to sell. So I got a job, few sales jobs that like really beat me up before I finally landed at this B2B Sprint reseller. And they really like kicked my butt. Within a year, I was their sales manager and I had learned how to sell, and I had launched my first Kickstarter and then my second Kickstarter. I'd gone out on my own and I had sort of learned this way of selling ephemeral products. I call it soul resonance selling, but it's our creative work. The stuff that nobody needs to live, but that make life worth living. Operas and plays and books and movies and TV shows and art books and all of that kind of stuff. I know you come from the corporate world and like I come from a business to business world, and like it's really easy to be like, oh, your shoes are too small and they suck. What if I like made shoes that were cheaper and better, and then I can just sell them to you and you'll give me money? Or like, I have a really good hamburger. Like, you want a hamburger? Like, you could give me money for that. Like, all of those things are very easy. Like, there's a pain point to it, and then you make money from it. The kind of stuff that like fiction is, even some memoir stuff, it's just a whole different world, and it's a way harder world, and it requires a lot of modifications to how we sell in business, but not that many modifications to make it really work without feel like you're selling your soul. So like I started doing that, and it started working. People started asking me questions. I made a podcast. I wrote a book. People kept asking me for more. So I kept asking for more and more money from them to do things, courses, and like building a mailing list and all of the things. And I started like getting really good at all of this stuff over time. And meanwhile, I was using all of that stuff to like test out fiction things and how my fiction works, and like writing a bunch of novels. And then in 2020, it all came crashing down. I decided I really did not want to be doing the nonfiction work anymore. So I talked to Monica about licensing all of the work that I had done, multiple books, courses, and such, into like her new series, Book Sales Supercharged. And then a year later, our first book together, Get Your Book Selling, on Kickstarter. Sort of became this massive indie hit and sort of opened all of these doors. And then we started doing a Kickstarter course. And then people were like, what do I do after Kickstarter? And so we made a direct sales course. And then we talked at conventions, and we started our own convention called the Future of Publishing Mastermind. And all of this stuff was just spiraling and spiraling and spiraling. But meanwhile, there's this overarching narrative. It's a little bit better now than it was when we first set out to write this book. People want to consider one pillar of direct sales to be all of direct sales. And it's really confusing for people because like they'll be like, wait, this person said that like Shopify was direct sales, and this other person saying subscriptions are direct sales. And I don't understand how it all works together. And our business, both of our businesses separately and together, have been a lot of showing you how all of the things connect together. And so even though we have a almost 20 book series now, what we decided this book would be our thesis statement of how all of this stuff fits together, this cohesive argument for like how you actually build a direct sales environment for your business in a way that does not cost people $1,000 or $2,000 to learn. They still have to do all of that stuff, but we think there's a major flaw in how direct sales is taught, and that is natural because most people are teaching a platform, whether it's a platform that they created or whether it's a platform that they use. It's very easy to say, I will teach you how to make money on Kickstarter, because the people that want to make money on Kickstarter will give you money to learn how to make money on Kickstarter or Shopify or Patreon or whatever. To make this very big cohesive argument about like all of direct sales and how it all integrates together, like it's a sociological experiment that you're doing. It requires this scope and scale of looking and zooming out that most people don't want to do, but Monica and I really love that stuff. Like what we love doing is watching how systems interact with each other, how you create them, the best practices between them, and then like the gaps in the market. And unfortunately, the gap in the market in this particular instance is a massive undertaking of teaching people how to take Shopify and Kickstarter and Patreon and Ream and their website stores and hook them all together in one cohesive argument that makes sense. And it's never happened in publishing before. At best, we've had wide sales across multiple retailers, but retailers all work enough like each other that they don't seem like foreign to each other when you like look at their dashboard. Patreon and Ream and Substack, not only do they work differently than all other types of direct sales, Patreon and Ream work pretty similarly, and then Substack works a wildly different way. And like, there's a whole different thing. And the same thing is true with Indiegogo and Kickstarter versus equity fundraising and all of these things. Like, even when you take one pillar and break it down, they are vastly different experiences. And what we're asked to do as authors is to pull all of the pieces together from this very scattered board and just start playing with them. That's what entrepreneurs do very well. Go screw with this and see if it's going to build our business. But like, writers also want to write. That's the thing. Like, we want to write, not market things. And we don't have money and budgets to just start testing random platforms and then what if they fail? That's kind of Monica and my job. I've always been kind of this crash test dummy of every industry I've been in. I believe in first mover advantage, that if you try all of this stuff, like eventually one or two will stick. And that's kind of, you just keep bringing things that stick, eventually you have like a really good business. So yeah, that's a bunch of words about kind of where I came from and how Monica and I got together to now. Our interest is in the overall scope of indie publishing and how to add this component of direct sales and create something that is cohesive across multiple different platforms and multiple different integrations, and create something that works so that you can write more things.
Russell Nohelty is our guest. In partnership with Monica Leonelle, he's written Direct Sales Mastery for Authors, the definitive guide teaching the 5 tenets of direct sales to people who write. Learn more about him at RussellNohelty.com. Outline the 5 tenets of direct sales.
Sure. Web stores are stores on your website. So Shopify, PayHip, Gumroad, you're selling a book or a bundle of books. A landing page is a single offer page on your website that sells your series or sells a book for like a bundle price. But instead of your web store that is like 50 different products, a landing page only has one product and one thing. If you go to like a book funnel page and you put in your like email, like that is a landing page, except instead of getting a book for free, you're paying money to like get a series usually. Conventions, San Diego Comic-Con, New York Comic-Con, 20 books, anything from nonfiction to fiction to industry shows. Crowdfunding is a time-based landing page, basically, that like is on a third party. You could do it on your own site, but generally it's time-bound, raising for a product on Kickstarter. So it's Kickstarter, Indiegogo, a crowdfunder, sites like that. And then subscriptions are when someone's paying you a monthly fee to access your work or something or other. So there's Patreon, there's Ream, there's Substack, where I've had my success. And those are the 5 pillars. On some level, you will want to integrate all of them in your business. On some level, you will want continuity for everything that you do. You'll want to keep adding subscribers over time until you have something, because subscriptions are one that tends to be like very slow growth until it's very high growth. And all of those kind of lead to you having a business. Those are the 5 pillars.
How do you recommend an author who's never done any of this before should start?
I usually recommend you start with Kickstarter, with a Kickstarter first. Why is that? Because it is time bound. So if you don't like it after 14 days, you can stop. Most other forms of direct sales require a long-term time commitment to make work, but Kickstarter is one where it's like, hey, there's only 14 days left of here. Like if you put your web store up and then it comes down, that would be pretty weird. Like people would be like, what happened to your web store? But if you start a Kickstarter and then 2 weeks later, the Kickstarter ends, that's normal. That's actually what is supposed to happen. That happens to everyone. So, and also Kickstarter, because of the way it deals with scarcity and is time bound, it generally leads to a fast infusion of cash. And when you're leaving a platform that accounts for 50% or more of your income, a fast infusion of cash is like a good thing to have. So not in every case, because some people really don't love how Kickstarter works or it's intimidating to them. But usually I say, even before you're out of KU, what can we do with Kickstarter? Well, like you could do a special edition. You could do print books. You could do audiobooks. You could do games. You could do all sorts of things on Kickstarter. You could do pins. You could do merch. You can do all sorts of things to test your audience's desire or ability to go wide or direct immediately. And so usually before you're even out of KU, I say, let's try to do a Kickstarter of something, because it's your best chance of getting a quick infusion of cash. That's what I care about when you're leaving KU. How can I off-ramp you from KU while still maintaining the money that you are making, or come close to maintaining the money you're making, at least for the first couple of months? So usually it starts with a Kickstarter.
We're in conversation with Russell Nohelty, co-author with Monica Leonelle of Direct Sales Mastery for Authors, the definitive guide to mastering the 5 tenets of direct sales. RussellNohelty.com is his website, with many more landing pages for his many projects. All of these teachings presuppose that you have a series of products to sell and already have cultivated an audience, which you bring with you to the tactics.
You bring your audience with you to something like Kickstarter, easy and time bound. All you have to do is get messaging right. And so you would run that Kickstarter test, and probably you're still in KU with your main series at this point, because you want to test if it's working. And then you see, oh, I made $10,000. I can make this transition pretty easily if I can do this a couple more times. Or you say, wow, I made $200. I really need to go and build my audience more, or like get my audience a lot more comfortable with direct and wide selling. So I'm not going to leave KU yet until I have more scaffolding in place.
You've tested some ideas with Kickstarter. You've figured out messaging that motivates some reader action. What's next?
Sure. So like from there, you would take your Kickstarter page and you would transition it into probably a landing page would be the second thing. And you would take the email sequence and all of the copy and all of the messaging you've already tested and create a landing page, like a landing page for a series. And then from there, you have your email sequence that leads into your series. And then you're probably at that point ready to pull your books out of KU and go wide. And so you have created a system to make money. When people come into your email ecosystem, you then are going to be pulling things wide, and you've got a cash reserve so that you can push ads and start doing things like free Booksy, book sweeps, BookBub, whatever like kind of advertising / promotions that you do to start making wide work. And then you just keep doing that over time while creating your web store. There's a whole nother segment of people that are doing what's called cold traffic advertising, which is basically what everyone is doing on Facebook when they're trying to get people off Amazon and wherever they're going. But instead of their cold traffic advertising going to Amazon, it's going to their website.
To define each marketing segment, warm traffic is existing relationships, your mailing list, your Facebook followers, people who already know your work and may want to consume more of it. Cold traffic is how most authors traditionally market, optimizing their website so search engines can connect with them, SEO, as we call it, with new potential customers, and buying and marketing advertising on platforms targeting people who don't yet know you and may never have read your books. As any of us who have bought an ad on Amazon or Facebook can attest, that can be very labor-intensive and fraught with financial risk.
It is not chill when you're running cold traffic. Like, you need systems in place. There are people like Pierre Gentil and Steve Piper who like are very good at optimizations, because every optimization that you can make on your website will help you sell better because you will convert better. And so if all of the things we teach are kind of the basic foundational principles. If you don't want to run cold ad traffic, if you do want to run cold ad traffic, which eventually you will want to, that is when you probably need to like bring in like a specialized expert in running ad traffic to a like landing page or web store. But otherwise, you just are kind of slowly building this process. The big difference between KU and wide and direct is like it's usually a slow build that maintains over time. So like I set up a landing page for one of my series in January. I've not touched the sequence in a year. It's made me like not that much money, like several hundred, if not thousands of dollars. It just works now in the background. Like I set it up, I spent like 2 weeks on it. It just kind of like works in the background. And that is one avenue. And then like there's retailer avenue sales and there's Kickstarter sales that come in. And then it's an ecosystem. That's why it's called the author ecosystem, the thing that we have, because it becomes more robust as you add more things to it. The biggest thing that differentiates the era we're going into from the era we left is when things go wrong on one platform and you have a good ecosystem, you can pivot and transition to other platforms. When you're all in on KU and something stops working, there is nothing you can do except write the next book and hope it fixes the problem. I will never lie and say that it's easy. I will never lie and say that like you're going to figure it out next month. The advantage is you can add another landing page. Like you can add another Kickstarter. You can spend more money on retailer sales. All of these things are like at your disposal, and you can maneuver between them when all of this is set up properly.
Russell Nohelty is our guest. He's an award-winning, best-selling author who has studied emerging opportunities for writers who publish independently to step away from the page turn revenue on the Amazon Kindle Unlimited platform and, as the marketers say, go wide across a number of platforms that Russell and his writing partner Monica Leonelle have distilled into the 5 tenets of direct sales. It sounds like those of us who just got into this business to write will have to become entrepreneurs if we want to be more widely read and sell more books. We'll have to dive into the weeds of product testing, audience building, deploying our books and perhaps other products that connect with our audience through multiple sales channels have to be managed.
You're going to need to do marketing copy for your books. Like, you're going to have to talk about why it's special, the world, the characters, all of this stuff. And so really what direct sales does is give you more ways to disseminate that information and get value from it. I have a 12-book series called The Godsworth Chronicles, and I have been releasing it all year on my Substack. And like, you could release it on Wattpad and Royal Road, and like, I don't know, that's direct sales. Like, someone wants to become a subscriber, but really all I care about is that like it gets more distribution and more eyeballs on it. So if you are one of the 99.999999999 repeating into infinity authors who like wants to be more widely read, then guess what? KU is not going to make you more widely read. It's going to limit who sees your work to people who are in KU. By being on other platforms and being direct, you get to get read by more people. Like, isn't that the goal? Like, isn't that the goal? Like, I don't know. We get to do this work. We get to do it. We don't have to. We get to.
Russell Nohelty's Kickstarter for Direct Sales Mastery for Authors, the definitive guide, can be found by searching for Writer MBA at the Kickstarter.com website. He has a robust presence on authorstack.substack.com, and you can learn more about the books Russell writes at russellnohelty.com. You covered a lot of ground in a short time, my friend, and I want to bring you back to the conversation to talk in more detail about your fiction and the business of creating graphic novels. Thanks for joining us.
No problem. I'm just happy that could be helpful.
In Conversation with Terry Shepard is a copyrighted presentation. All rights reserved. I'm Lisa Davis. Join Terry Shepard next time in Conversation.